You're listening to the Shout Podcast, the official health and wellbeing podcast from the Firefighters Charity.
Hi, welcome to another episode of Shout Podcast from the Firefighters Charity. My name's Kim Robson, and over the next half hour or so, I'd like you to sit back and listen to a few of the ways the charity can and has changed people's lives, as well as how you can help to support it and how other organisations are also doing their bit to help. In this episode, we'll hear a powerful account from retired firefighter Roger Moore as to how the charity helped him to come to terms with his PTSD and, as you'll hear, how it stopped him from potentially taking his own life. Later, you'll hear what happened when I caught up with Cressy Westling, the co-founder of sustainable luxury accessory makers Elvis & Cressy, to find out why donating 50% of profits from their recycled fire hose range is so important to them. And as the charity explores more ways to offer its beneficiaries personalised support that is unique to them, Sophie Pearce spoke to Andy Jeans, Director of Delivery at Orca, a company that rates and reviews health and wellbeing apps, to find out how this special partnership can benefit everyone across the fire services community. As usual, of course, we'll also round up your fundraising highlights in our Thank You To segment. But starting things off today, here's the incredible and emotional story of Roger Moore.
I've done 30 years in the fire service, started off obviously as a fireman, firefighter now, and finished as an operational station commander, serving at Radford Road Fire Station in the centre of Coventry. You did what you joined for, which was to go out and look after and save people and maybe put yourselves at a reasonable risk to save somebody else. I mean, some of the incidents I've been to 2 air crashes where everyone was killed and we stayed on scene to cut body parts free. House fires, I've had people that are just burnt beyond recognition, and I've had people that we've been brought out of the buildings and you've been working on them and they've died and took their last breath while they've been with you. You can't always save life, but 99% of the time, you know, you do have that good thing where you cut someone out of a car and they leave and they're well and you feel like you've done a good job. I thoroughly enjoyed my career. I'd do it again straight away. Retired in January 2013. Pleased to be retiring and thought nothing was wrong.
It was just totally different. I expected him to be happier because he was retired. He decided he wasn't going to do another job. I thought bored or depressed, that's how it came across.
Which one's your favourite then? Look at you, look, he's got hair there.
That's the Long Service Medal for 20 years, long service. And that's extra congratulations we received after a serious house fire in Coventry, where sadly the people died in the end. Things started to happen where certain high-pitched noises like tannoy noises, smoke alarms, vehicle reversing, lift doors opening, anything that's sort of a beep, 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 that's an alarm base that's to get the attention of humans to keep them safe, started to have sort of really terrible effects on me.
He started talking about self-harming and suicide. It's not the best.
So I started to look for help, went to the doctors. They said, we think something's sort of obviously wrong. Ironically, I had started to look at PTSD kind of websites because I just felt that something wasn't right. Some friends contacted the fire service and they said to ring the Firefighters Charity. Got in contact with them. I went down to Harcombe House for a week at the end of March, where myself and 7 other people from the fire service, some retired, some not, with health issues, were looked after for a week. And I can honestly say the Firefighters Charity, getting me down there and giving me the week down there, definitely saved me from considering doing more serious self-harm and possibly stopped me committing suicide.
That's the strangest and the hardest thing for me. I don't know why.
The horrible thing with this is you can't control your own head. For all of my life, I thought I was in charge of my body and my mind, but actually your mind's in charge of you.
It's just upsetting to see your husband going through so much when outwardly it doesn't look any different.
I hadn't got a clue what they did and I just expected sort of very basic stuff, but what I got was absolutely first class, well understood, appropriate therapy for firefighters.
And then when he came back, I don't know what they did in that week, but it sort of changed him.
The physical things they do, the exercise they get you to do, releases like natural endorphins that give you a high when you're low. The kind of meditation side that I've done helps you to calm and focus and stop thinking about all the other stuff. And all the things they've given you over 1 week. And they're not just there for that period of time, they're there on the end of the phone.
He's never going to be fixed, he's never going to be the same, because they've said that he just has to live with it now. But he's just so much better, so I can't thank them enough.
Don't sit in silence, don't sit alone, don't see it as a weakness. They do help and the support is immeasurable. I'm still sat here, so please benefit yourselves and your family, contact the charity and use them.
You are proud of it, aren't you? Proud of what you achieved as well.
Oh yeah.
What an incredible story. That was actually recorded back in 2018, and not long after, I'm pleased to say that Roger deservedly won the charity's Spirit of Fire Beneficiary of Courage Award. And today, he continues to support the work of the charity as an ambassador for its mental health support services. Thankfully, today, there are many ways that you can get support if you're struggling with your mental health. Picking up the phone to the charity is the best place to start. But if you're looking for a digital option, the charity has partnered with Orca, a company that rates and reviews health and wellbeing apps, to offer a portal through which you can browse verified, independent reviews of helpful apps before downloading. Sophie Pearce spoke to Orca's Director of Delivery, Andy Jeans, to find out more.
Hi Andy, thank you so much for joining us. First of all, would you like to introduce yourself?
Thanks, Sophie. It's a real pleasure to speak to you. So my name's Andy Jeans. I'm the Director of Delivery at a company called Orca.
What is Orca, other than being a type of killer whale, which you must hear all the time?
We do. And actually, just as a side note, our logo, if you have a look at it, was originally based on a killer whale's fluke. So there you go. Next time you see it, you can think of that. So Orca, it stands for the Organisation for the Review of Care and Health Applications, and in that sense, we're sort of a bronze seal, i.e., we kind of do what we say on the tin. So our job is to look at health and care applications and help people navigate the many thousands that are out there to find the ones that are good and safe.
Why are apps so useful when it comes to being health and wellbeing tools?
So, I mean, that's a great question. There are so many apps out there, and there's so many possible uses for them. If you consider the opportunities to use them to support your healthy lifestyle, for example, so anything around nutrition or exercise, anything around condition management. So it might be that you've got diabetes or COPD, or even just something around self-care, maybe some physiotherapy exercises. So there are so many opportunities to use them, and I think that's one of the real benefits. Another benefit being, of course, that you can use them in your own time and wherever you might be. So digital tools really offer something that many of the other more traditional care routes don't. That's all.
And tell me about the work that you're doing with the Firefighters charity.
So the work that we're doing with the Firefighters charity is fantastic. We've as an organisation, as I mentioned, we review health and care apps. But what we do over and above that is we then publish the findings of those reviews so that people can find the apps that they're looking for according to their needs and their requirements. So the work with the Firefighters charity revolves primarily around this library of apps that we've produced for them. So it's firefighters.orca.co.uk, just a small plug there, and it functions very much as a comparison website you would, as you'd imagine. So you can visit the site; it's free to use, and you can type in anything that you might have a concern with and that you think apps could add value for, or even something that you're not sure if there's something an app can support with, you can test it out just to see what's out there. So for example, I could visit the site and I could type in mental health, or I could type in diabetes or whatever it might be, and back would come the search results for any of the apps that we've reviewed in that particular area. as well as information about what that app does, its functionality, how it's performed in its review, and also information about how you can download it. So there's a link straight through to download it. So ultimately, the work that we do circulates around that library.
And how do you rate and review apps? And there's so many. How do you review them?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, great question again. And there are so many, as you say. I mean, last count there's 360 odd thousand. So we're talking an awful lot of apps. And of course, there's such a wide range of apps out there. Not only in terms of sort of the conditions that they help people and support with, right through to actually the complexity of the apps and what it is that they're designed to do. So, what we do and what we work with partners and the NHS, NICE, for example. There's many partners that we work with. And what we do is we have understood what are the main concerns that people have and the main blockers in terms of digital health adoption, and those tend to be around governance and trust and awareness and accessibility. And we've understood those core needs and we've built a review process that reflects that. So we have three main review category areas of user experience, data security, and of course clinical assurance. And in each of those you've got numerous questions that tie in, that allow us to search for evidence that shows compliance with various areas, and app developers having followed necessary frameworks and regulations, etc. But not only is it a question of understanding what best practice looks like in all of those areas, but then there's actually the complexity of weightings as well. So, for example, understanding that there isn't going to be one review process that's appropriate for all apps. So, for example, you wouldn't need to give an app that times how long someone brushes their teeth the same level of scrutiny as maybe an app that could be a medical device, could act as a diagnostic tool or anything like that. So you need to be looking at the weightings as well to make sure that you're actually appropriately responding to what it is that the app's designed to do in terms of the level of scrutiny that you apply.
We talk a lot about preventative resources, not waiting for things to get really bad before seeking help, which we know is something that affects many of our beneficiary base, this idea of not wanting to be a burden or thinking you're not too bad. Why do you think apps are good in that respect, the sort of journey of recovery?
The main advantages is that the user of an app is in control and doesn't need to, as you say, feel like a burden. They can actually take the lead on their own care, which is an extremely powerful concept and an extremely powerful feeling to actually have someone that feels capable of driving their own well-being. And I mentioned before some examples around how apps could be used to support lifestyle management. So you've got everything right from, for example, helping someone avoid getting diabetes, for example. Maybe someone's been identified as at risk of getting diabetes. So it might be that apps could support them with their lifestyle management. So it might be something to support smoking cessation, or alcohol monitoring, right through to nutrition and diet. So that's just one example. But as you say, the exacerbation element as well. So people not wanting to make existing conditions worse. And apps really do provide some excellent opportunities to, as I say, put the right tools in the hands of people to use, at the right time for them.
Our practitioners are also beginning to recommend apps from the Orca library and signposting to Orca to people that are coming through the charity as part of their personalised programme. Why do you think this is such a positive step for the charity?
It's absolutely huge, Sophie. So you've got, within the work that we're doing with the Firefighters Charity, as well as this library, we have what we refer to as Orca Pro licenses. For example, just to talk you through the journey, what would happen is one of the practitioners would identify, for example, that someone is struggling with sleep, or they could do with using a certain app to support with elements of their physiotherapy. And they would be able to put in the recipient, the service users, the beneficiaries, email address or phone number and actually send a link to that app straight to that person's phone, so that they would then be able to engage in it. Again, as I say, there's a whole load of control in this, so they would be able to engage in it as and when they're ready to. So it's a really important element, and it's a really important step forward for the charity. It's something that, I mean, we work with dozens and dozens of NHS organisations, and having the opportunity to supplement existing care with those digital health tools is, it's massively valuable, and obviously never more so than now in our current pandemic situation, where face-to-face care is no longer in many cases possible. And obviously, so therefore, the facility to recommend apps and build in that distant care route is wonderful.
And can you remind us just once more, how can our beneficiaries access them if they just want to browse the library themselves rather than be recommended them by our practitioners?
So as a reminder, the site is at firefighters.orca, which is ORCHA. .co.uk. So it's a free to use site, firefighters.orca.co.uk. They can visit the site. It's self-explanatory. You visit the site, you can type in what it is you're looking for an app for, and click search, and away you go. I mean, over and above that, if someone is particularly interested in finding a particular app, then you'll see that there are actually filters as well. So you can filter if you're looking for an app for maybe an iPhone or an Android device, or maybe an app that's entirely free rather than one that might offer additional functionality at a cost, or maybe an app for a particular demographic. So it really is a resource that we would encourage all beneficiaries, as well as other firefighter charities, stakeholders, the staff, the team members, etc., to get involved in and use to support not only themselves but also their friends and family members as well.
Andy, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for explaining about Orca. And also just a reminder for our listeners that you can also find it on our How We Help pages at firefighters.charity.org.uk. But thank you so much.
Fantastic. Thanks, Sophie.
Like everything, fire hoses have a lifetime. But have you ever stopped to wonder what happens to the tons of fire hose once it reaches the end of its usable life? Well, it used to head straight to landfill. At least that was until luxury accessory makers Elvis & Cressy stepped in. The company has been making a range of sustainable items, including bags, wallets and belts, from recycled London Fire Brigade fire hose since 2005. Furthermore, it's been donating 50% of its profits from that range to the firefighters charity ever since. So, intrigued to find out more, I spoke to co-founder Cressy Westling earlier this week.
My name is Cressy Westling. I'm the co-founder and director of Elvis & Cressy.
So, Cressy, for those listening who might not have heard of Elvis & Cressy, can you tell us just a little bit more about who you are and what it is that you do?
Absolutely. So Elvis & Cressy essentially does three things. We rescue materials, we transform them into beautiful things, and then we donate 50% of the profits to charity. And this all started in 2005 because I had a chance meeting with the London Fire Brigade and fell in love with their decommissioned fire hose. And on that very first day, I said, look, I'm going to rescue all of this hose. And they said, well, what are you going to do with it? And I said, I don't know, but I'm not going to let it go to landfill anymore. It's too beautiful. And I promised in that moment that we would give them half. And obviously you can't give half of your money to a public sector body. That's really complicated. But there is this wonderful organization, the Firefighters Charity, and we've had a partnership with them now since day one.
You mentioned that, landfill would be where it would go. But of all the materials in the world, fire hose, did it literally just come from that chance meeting?
Yes, absolutely. I had spent some time in British landfills before that. I had been to recycling centres. I'd been to waste transfer stations. And I knew that there was a huge problem here with materials that didn't deserve to die, but were going to landfill unnecessarily. And I was always looking for a way in. I was trying to find a material that I thought I could solve. And in order to put that much time and effort and love into something, you do have to be inspired by it. And the fire hose is just so beautiful, and it has so much history. And each hose is different and has its own scars and its own story to tell. It was love at first sight.
And tell me about what it is that you make.
We first made belts because from a product's perspective, hose is long and straight and belts are long and straight. So that was relatively simple. But over the early years, we gradually expanded that into a range of luxury bags and wallets and also belts. So we make luggage, handbags, wallets, anything that you would use as an accessory to carry your stuff around.
And it just looks so cool, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of reasons for that. You know, one is that we focus on really classic design, so it's designed to last beyond a single season. And the other thing is that the hose is just this, you know, beautiful material that tells its own story and has its own scars. And despite using the same pattern, we'll never have two pieces that are the same.
Which is really incredible, something quite special to own as well.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier that you donate 50% of your profits to the charity, and that's seen you regularly hand over a cheque for around £50,000 a year, which is just an incredible gesture. Why, to you personally and to the business, do you feel it's so important to support the charity like that?
So I think, you know, you have to kind of go back to that first day. And from my perspective, I thought it was amazing. I think it's amazing the work that the fire service does. And the fact that they were willing to share this decommissioned hose with me, you know, made me think, well, what are we going to share in return? And yes, obviously we're saving the fire service money. You know, we're preventing them from having to waste money on a landfill fee. But I just thought it would be much more impactful if actually we recognized in a really tangible, quantitative way that they are a stakeholder in what we do, that they are part of our community. And, you know, I have to tell you, in the first year, we came to the end of the first year, and all we had in the bank account was something like £134. And we thought, oh, this is too terrible. This is too small. So instead of dividing that by two, we gave it all to the firefighters charity.
Bless you.
And then it grew from there. I remember, you know, one of the first time I met the CEO of the firefighters charity, I think the check was for something like 3,000. And even then, you know, when we broke that down into what that amount of money achieves in terms of therapy sessions, in terms of, you know, keeping the access line open, it was already a profound amount. And the more we grow and the more we're able to donate, the more hose we rescue, the more we're able to donate. And for us, it's really become, you know, the major success that we celebrate.
Back in 2018, you managed to get the Charity Spirit of Fire Award for the Non-Beneficiary Supporter of the Year. I'm sure that is one of many awards that sit on your mantelpiece, but what did that mean to you?
I think that one, of all of the awards, I think that one meant the most to us because, you know, we knew that we always wanted to support the fire service community, and we didn't expect anything in return. You know, we get the hose, for us, that's enough. But I think what happened at that year and what's continued to happen since then is that we've all recognized, you know, ourselves, the firefighters charity, the fire brigades across the UK, that we're in this together, and that we really are a community. And, you know, the award was just definitely a statement of that fact. It was lovely.
So I hear on the grapevine that there's an exhibit coming up at the V&A Museum that you're going to be involved with. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. We, you know, obviously this has had a few corona delays, but we were asked by the V&A to contribute a piece late last year, I think, and the exhibition starting on the 21st of November, and it's going to the end of September 2021, at which point the exhibition, which is all about the history of the bag, is going to travel museums around the world. And, you know, it's pretty overwhelming for us to have been asked to contribute a bag, and it is one of our full fire hose luggage pieces, because we're right there next to, you know, some of the world's biggest, most iconic luxury brands and some of their most important statement pieces. And there our bag is really as a statement about where the future of luxury is going, the future of accessories are going, and how you can have something that's beautiful and wonderful, but that also has impact on purpose at its very core.
Oh, that's fantastic. You must be so proud, and rightly so. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I think it is a bit astounding for us. We suddenly, we've produced a British icon, which I think is just overwhelming for all of us, including the fire service and the firefighters charity.
So obviously, if people are interested in owning a bit of this history, a bit of fire hose that's become an amazing iconic piece of, like you say, a bag or a belt or a wallet or a phone case or something like that, they can obviously go to the shop for the Firefighters Charity. But where can they find out a bit more about you, Elvis and Cressy?
So they can follow us on any of our social channels. Our handles for Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter are all Elvis and Cressy, Elvis A-N-D Cressy. Or they can go to our website, elvisandcressy.com.
It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you. Can't wait to see the exhibition as well. Thank you so much, Cressy.
Thanks a lot.
We may have left summer behind us now, but that's not stopped you from taking on some incredible fundraising challenges and feel-good moments over recent weeks. So here we go again with another Thank You To segment. First up to Lizzie Felton, who raised a fantastic £195 by completing a virtual Cader Idris mountain race. Lizzie ran the same steep stretch of hill over and over again to clock up 17.53 kilometres and 920 metres of elevation. Thank you to Matt Constable for completing his 2.6 challenge by lifting a total of 2.6 tonnes over a single day. He raised an incredible £802. Also thanks to London Fire Brigade Training and Professional Development Department, which held an online bingo event recently, raising a fantastic £210. Next to Paul, Adrian, Colin and David from Kent Fire and Rescue Service, who took on the epic Lockdown Alp de Zwift Challenge to raise £570. Congratulations to Louis Beeston for raising £90 by completing 499 press-ups, 499 sit-ups, 499 burpees and 99.9 kilometres on a bike. Well done to new Northumberland Fire and Rescue Service recruits for raising a spectacular £1,323 by completing a team run of 9.99 kilometres, carrying a 30-kilogram dummy casualty. Kaylee and Eddie McInnes, meanwhile, walked the Firefighters Heritage Trail to honour the 60th anniversary of firefighters who lost their lives in the Cheapside Street fire disaster. Kaylee wore a 20-kilogram rucksack and raised a fantastic £500. And to Anthony Poynton from Cheshire Fire and Rescue Service, who raised a fantastic £562 by cycling 130 miles. And finally, a big thank you to Hampshire firefighter Steve Holder for raising £520 by running 22 miles from Havant Fire Station to our Marine Court Centre in Littlehampton. In terms of feel-good moments, you can't get more feel-good than an animal rescue, and crews from Delabold Community Fire Station in Cornwall recently conducted a perfect rescue when they saved a scared kitten that had become trapped in a drain. Well done to the crew from S55 Leyland, who recently took part in the Cheshire Firefighter Virtual Fitness Challenge, which saw entries from across the world. We're pleased to say that the Leyland crew were awarded the title of third fittest fire crew in the world. And to finish, we must say another shout out to all of you who are taking part in the National Car Wash this autumn. Whether you're hosting a car wash event or completing a virtual 999 car wash challenge, you're all fantastic, and we're so grateful for your support. And that brings us to the end of another episode of Shout Podcast. Thanks for listening. As ever, please tell your friends and colleagues to listen, subscribe and review. All the information you need to do so is on the website and on the Firefighters Charity's social media channels. Until next time, take care and stay safe.
You've been listening to the Shouts podcast. For more information on the show and how the Firefighters Charity could support you, check out www.firefighterscharity.org.uk.
If you liked Shout Podcast, you're going to love My Firefighters Charity, the new social media wellbeing and fundraising app for the fire services community. Packed with great wellbeing content from the expert teams at the Firefighters Charity, you can connect with others, join groups, collaborate and have fun with your fire family friends across the UK. And you can get the advice and help you're after from the Firefighters Charity whenever you need it. Head to your app store, search for My Firefighters Charity and register for free today.